Captain Daniel Wright stood in the medical bay of Station Harmony 7 and tried not to look nervous. The bay room stretched before him like a cathedral. All smooth white surfaces and floating holographic displays that he couldn't begin to understand. Dr. Lisa Morgan stood beside him, her tablet clutched in both hands. She was a xenobiologist, which meant she studied alien life. And even she looked overwhelmed by the technology surrounding them. Coordinator Vesh approached on 6 thin legs, her insectoid body clicking softly with each step. "The archive will begin scanning now," Vesh said, her translator rendering her chittering sounds into perfect English. "This is standard procedure for all new species joining the Galactic Council." Daniel nodded and stepped onto the circular platform in the center of the room. Lisa joined him, and they stood side by side as blue light began to flow up from the floor. Archive was supposedly 12 million years old, an artificial intelligence so advanced that it had cataloged over 47,000 species across the galaxy. Every species that joined the Council had to go through this process. It was supposed to be routine. The blue light intensified, washing over Daniel's body in waves that felt warm but not uncomfortable. He could see Lisa standing perfectly still beside him, her eyes closed around them. Holographic displays flickered to life, showing what Daniel assumed was data about human biology. Vesh watched from her station near the wall, her compound eyes reflecting the blue glow other council members had gathered to observe. As they always did when a new species was being cataloged, there was a tall avian creature with golden feathers, a being that looked like it was made of living crystal, and several others that Daniel couldn't classify. The scan continued for maybe 2 minutes. Then the blue light vanished. The holographic displays went dark complete. Silence filled the medical bay. Vesh's antennae twitched. "That is unusual," she said quietly. Daniel glanced at Lisa, who opened her eyes and looked around in confusion. "Did something go wrong?" Lisa asked before Vesh could answer. Alarms began blaring throughout the station. Red lights flashed along the walls. The holographic displays burst back to life, but now they showed scrolling text and symbols that moved too fast for Daniel to track. The other council members rushed toward the medical bay, their various forms of movement creating a strange symphony of sounds. The archive's voice suddenly filled the room, deep and resonant and completely unlike anything Daniel had heard before. "Classification error," it said. Every being in the room froze. The archive never made errors in 12 million years of operation. It had never once failed to properly catalog a species, running secondary analysis. The archive continued. The blue light returned, more intense this time, and Daniel felt it pulse through his body like a heartbeat. Lisa grabbed his hand, and he could feel her trembling. The scan lasted 30 seconds this time. Then it stopped. The silence that followed felt heavy enough to crush. "Analysis complete," the archive said, and there was something in its tone that Daniel couldn't identify. Confusion, maybe? Could a 12-million-year-old AI sound confused? How many apex species combined here? The archive asked. The question hung in the air like smoke. High Chancellor Morvik entered the medical bay, his golden feathers ruffled. He was the leader of the Galactic Council, a position he had held for 2 centuries. "Archive, explain your query," Morvik commanded. The holographic display shifted, and suddenly Daniel was looking at a massive 3-dimensional representation of human DNA. This species designation, human, the archive said. "Origin planet, Earth. Sol system, outer spiral arm. Initial scan indicates biological impossibility." Vesh moved closer to the displays, her antennae quivering. "What kind of impossibility?" The DNA model rotated, and sections of it began to glow in different colors. "Genetic markers indicate multiple apex predator lineages," the archive explained. "Persistence hunting capability similar to canid prime species. Present." Red sections lit up along the DNA strand, pack coordination, and complex social bonding matching. Alpha lupin characteristics. Present. Blue sections illuminated. Binocular. Vision and spatial reasoning consistent. With ambush predator classification. Present. Green lights. Flickered. Endurance capacity exceeding. All recorded species. Present. Thermal. Regulation system allowing extended pursuit in varied climates. Present. Omnivorous adaptation permitting. Survival in any environment. Present. The entire DNA. Model was now glowing in a rainbow of colors. Daniel looked at Lisa, who stared at the display with wide eyes. "I don't understand," Daniel said. "What does that mean?" The archive's display shifted to show what looked like a comparison chart. In 12 million years of cataloging, the archive has encountered 0 species displaying more than 2 apex predator characteristics. It stated, humans display 7 primary apex predator genetic markers. This should not exist by any known evolutionary model. Morvik's feathers flattened against his body, around the room. Other council members were backing away from the platform where Daniel and Lisa still stood. Show Earth environmental data. Morvik ordered a holographic planet appeared. Spinning slowly. Earth gravity. 1.3 times galactic standard. The archive reported. Atmospheric oxygen content. 21%. Higher than 78% of habitable worlds. Historical megafauna. Hostile species. Weighing up to 6,000 kilograms. Extinction. Events survived. 5 major catastrophic events. Current dominant species emerged. 200,000 Earth years ago. The planet continued to rotate. And Daniel could see continents. He recognized Earth classification. High-pressure evolutionary environment. The archive concluded. Survival required extreme adaptation. Lisa finally spoke. Her voice shaky but clear. "Our planet was difficult," she said. "Humans had to be tough to survive. We learned to hunt, to cooperate, to adapt to any situation. We spread across every continent, every climate. We learned to work together because alone we would die." Security Chief Krell entered the medical bay. His reptilian form moving with predatory grace. Daniel noticed that Krell's hand rested on what was clearly a weapon. Are humans aware of their classification? The archive asked the question seemed to be directed at everyone, and no one. Daniel looked around the room and saw fear in many eyes. "Classification?" He repeated. "What classification?" "You are apex predators," the archive stated simply. "By genetic analysis, humans are the most efficient predatory species ever cataloged. You should be solitary hunters. Territorial, aggressive toward other apex species. Instead, you build civilizations, practice cooperation, seek peaceful contact. This contradicts all predictive models." Daniel felt something cold settle in his stomach around the room. Aliens were staring at him, and Lisa like they had just revealed themselves to be monsters. "We're not monsters," Lisa said quietly, as if reading his thoughts. "We're just people." Morvik's eyes fixed on the 2 humans. "That," he said slowly, "is what concerns us. You are apex predators who do not realize what you are." The medical bay fell silent again. And Daniel understood something fundamental had changed. Humanity had come seeking friendship, seeking to join the galactic community as equals instead. They had been revealed as something else entirely, something that made even the most powerful species in the galaxy afraid. Emergency Council session convenes in 1 hour. Morvik announced. The humans will remain in Medical Bay under observation. As the Chancellor left, Daniel looked at Lisa. "What have we gotten ourselves into?" He asked. She had no answer, and the silence that followed. The archive continued to analyze their DNA, searching for an explanation that might never come. The Emergency Council chamber held representatives from 43 different species. all gathered in a circular arrangement that put the humans at the center. Daniel and Lisa sat in chairs that were too small for them, clearly designed for different body types. High Chancellor Morvick stood at the central podium, his golden feathers catching the light. "The archive will present its findings," Morvick announced. The lights dimmed, and holographic displays filled the air above them. The archive's voice resonated through the chamber with quiet authority. "Subject species: humans." It began. "Evolutionary origin: Earth. A high-gravity world with extreme environmental pressures." The display showed Earth rotating slowly, storm systems visible across its surface. Initial analysis revealed genetic anomalies, requiring deeper investigation. The human DNA model appeared again, still glowing in multiple colors. Science Director Theron rose from his seat, his amphibious skin glistening under the chamber lights. "Archive, you stated humans possess 7 apex predator markers," he said. "Please detail each marker and its implications." The DNA model zoomed in on the first red section. Marker 1. Persistence hunting capability. The archive stated, "Humans can track prey for days without stopping. Their endurance exceeds that of any prey species, allowing them to literally chase animals until exhaustion. This trait exists in only 3 other known species, all classified as extreme pursuit predators." Murmurs rippled through the council chamber. A small herbivore species representative visibly shuddered. The display shifted to blue sections. Marker 2. Pack coordination through complex social bonding. The archive continued. Humans form intricate social hierarchies and demonstrate loyalty to group members even at personal cost. They communicate through elaborate language systems and can coordinate attacks with precision. This mirrors the Alpha Lucan species, considered one of the most effective pack hunters in galactic history. Daniel watched the council members exchange worried glances. Marker 3. Binocular vision with exceptional spatial reasoning. The archive went on. Human eyes face forward, sacrificing peripheral awareness for depth perception and target tracking. This is the hallmark of ambush predators, who must judge distances precisely. For attack success, green lights pulsed in the DNA model. Marker 4. Extreme endurance and thermal regulation. The archive stated, "Humans can function in temperature ranges from -40 degrees to +50 degrees Celsius. They possess an advanced sweating system that allows heat dissipation during extended physical activity. No other species can maintain pursuit in such varied conditions." Morvick's feathers ruffled again. "Archive, this is unprecedented," he said. "Continue." Marker 5. Omnivorous digestive adaptation. The archive reported, "Humans can extract nutrition from nearly any organic matter. This allows survival in environments where specialized feeders would perish. They can shift between hunting meat and gathering plants based on availability." The display showed images of various Earth environments, from frozen tundra to desert to jungle. Marker 6. Rapid adaptation to environmental stress. The archive continued. Human populations spread across their entire planet within 70,000 years. They adapted to every climate zone without significant biological changes. Instead, they modified their environment and created artificial survival tools. Lisa leaned forward in her chair. "That's just intelligence and cooperation," she said. "Any smart species would do the same." Security Chief Krull stood, his reptilian form towering over the smaller beings around him. "Intelligence combined with predatory instinct," he said coldly. "That makes them more dangerous, not less." The archive's display shifted to the final marker. Marker 7. Enhanced pattern recognition and strategic thinking. It announced, Human brains devote significant processing power to identifying patterns, predicting behavior, and planning complex strategies. These are classic predator cognitive traits. Refined to extreme levels, the DN model faded, replaced by a chart showing comparative data. Statistical analysis reveals an impossibility. The archive stated, the probability of 7 apex predator traits evolving simultaneously in one species is 0.0-0-03%. Yet humans exist. Theron approached the holographic display. Studying the data, what is your conclusion, archive? He asked. There was a pause. And for a moment, Daniel wondered if the ancient AI was uncertain. Humans evolved on a planet where anything less than apex predator status meant extinction. The archive finally said, Earth's environment was so hostile that only the most adaptable, most efficient hunters could survive. However, this creates a paradox. New data appeared in the air. Analysis of human social behavior shows cooperation levels consistent with prey species. The archive explained. They demonstrate empathy, altruism, and self-sacrifice for non-genetic relatives. They form bonds with other species, including former prey animals. They create art, music, philosophy, and complex moral systems. These behaviors directly contradict apex predator psychology. Ambassador Aaron spoke up. His voice gentle, despite the tension in the room. Iran belonged to a peaceful herbivore species known for diplomacy. Perhaps, Aaron suggested, humans represent something new. A species that evolved predatory capabilities, but chose a different path. Krell made a dismissive sound. Or they hide their true nature behind pleasant words. He said, predators ambush their prey. After all, cooperation could simply be pack hunting behavior applied to diplomacy. Daniel stood, and several council members flinched. May I speak? He asked. Ed Morvik gestured for him to continue. We're not hiding anything, Daniel said, keeping his voice calm. Yes, humans are hunters. We evolved that way, but we're also farmers, artists, teachers, and parents. We learned that cooperation achieves more than competition. We learned that protecting others strengthens everyone. We're not perfect, but we're trying to be better. The archive interrupted, accessing human historical records transmitted during initial contact. It announced new displays appeared, showing images from Earth's history, human warfare, evidence of territorial aggression and resource competition. The archive stated images of battles flash past. Human violence. Statistical data shows declining rates over the past 5,000 years. Graphs appeared, showing lines trending downward. Human cooperation. Evidence of intertribal alliances, international organizations, and species-wide communication networks. More images. The United Nations, space stations, research facilities, human altruism, recorded instances of individuals sacrificing lives to save strangers, photos of firefighters, medics, rescue workers. Paradox confirmed. The archive concluded, humans possess maximum predator efficiency combined with maximum pack bonding capability. They have weaponized cooperation itself. The chamber fell silent as council members absorbed this information. Lisa stood beside Daniel. We don't see cooperation as a weapon, she said quietly. We see it as the only way to survive. Earth taught us to be strong, yes, but it also taught us that alone we die. So we learned to stand together. We learned to protect each other. We learned that the pack survives when every member matters. War Master Draken entered the chamber, his armored form making heavy sounds with each step. Was responsible for evaluating potential military threats. The archive's analysis is troubling, Draken said, but analysis alone cannot determine true threat level. He turned to face the humans directly. I propose a combat assessment. Draken stated, Standard Council protocol for species with questionable classification. Physical and mental evaluations under controlled conditions. Morvik considered this. The humans have agreed to all standard procedures, he said. Do you consent to this assessment? Daniel looked at Lisa, who nodded. We have nothing to hide. Daniel said, We'll participate in any test you require. Draken's expression was unreadable behind his helmet. Excellent, he said. We will see if human capabilities match the Archive's predictions. The assessment begins at dawn, as the council session concluded and the chamber began to empty. Daniel noticed that most species gave the humans a wide berth. They were no longer simply visitors from a distant world. They were apex predators whose true nature had been revealed by an intelligence 12 million years old, and no one knew yet whether that made them friends or threats. Outside the chamber windows, the station's artificial sun began to set. Tomorrow would bring tests that would determine humanity's fate among the stars. Daniel wondered if their species had made a terrible mistake by reaching out to the cosmos, but it was too late now to turn back. The galaxy knew what humans were. The only question remaining was what humans would choose to do about it. The testing arena stretched before them like a vast stadium, with observation platforms rising in tiers around a central floor that could transform into any environment. Daniel stood with Lisa and Commander Jake Bennett, the security officer from their Earthship who had joined them for the assessment. Jake was ex-military, with the calm demeanor of someone who had seen combat and survived. Standard Council combat assessment. War Master Draken announced from his platform 3 scenarios designed to evaluate capability under pressure. Around them, council members filled the observation seats. The archive's presence hummed through the facility, monitoring everything. First scenario, problem solving under time constraint. Draken said. The arena floor shifted, and suddenly the humans stood in what looked like a maze. Walls rose around them, some transparent, some opaque, creating a labyrinth of passages. A diplomatic envoy is trapped in the center. Draken explained. You have 10 minutes to reach them before life support fails. Standard Council protocol requires methodical mapping of all passages. Average completion time, 47 minutes. A timer appeared in the air above them. Counting down from 10 minutes, Jake immediately moved to the nearest wall and knocked on it. Some are hollow, he called out. Lisa pulled out her tablet and started recording the maze layout. Daniel looked up and noticed the transparent walls created sightlines through multiple passages. We can see through parts of it. Daniel said, we don't need to map everything. Just find the fastest route. Jake was already moving, testing walls as he went. These walls are lightweight, he reported. They're meant to slow us down, not stop us. He pushed against one, and it shifted slightly. Lisa worked on her tablet, using the partial views through transparent sections to build a 3-dimensional model. The center is roughly northeast, she said. If we cut through weak points instead of following the paths, that violates standard protocol. Draken interrupted. Jake looked up at the observation platform. Are there rules against it? He asked. There was a pause. No explicit rules, Draken admitted, but no species has attempted to bypass the maze structure. Then we're not breaking any rules, Jake said. He rammed his shoulder into a lightweight wall, and it toppled over. The 3 humans began moving through the maze, knocking down walls that stood between them and their target. They reached the center in 4 minutes and 32 seconds. The council chamber erupted in confused chatter. Second scenario, Draken announced, though his voice carried a note of surprise. Physical endurance trial. The maze vanished, replaced by a long track that curved around the arena. Standard distance, 100 kilometers. Draken explained, participants must complete the circuit while carrying a 20-kilogram pack. Average completion time for council species, 8 hours. Most species require multiple rest periods. 3. Packs appeared on the floor. The humans picked them up and adjusted the straps. Are we racing each other or against the clock? Jake asked. Against standard completion time. Draken said, begin. The humans started running at a steady pace, not sprinting. Daniel noticed, but a measured jog that Jake seemed to set instinctively, persistence hunting pace. Lisa said quietly as they ran, we can maintain this for hours. The council members watched as the humans circled the track again and again after the first hour. Many observers had left after the second hour. More departed. The humans kept running. Their pace never changed. Jake led them. His breathing steady and controlled. Lisa stayed in the middle. Her scientist mind probably analyzing their performance. Daniel brought up the rear, falling into the rhythm that felt almost natural after 3 hours. Draken's voice came over the speakers. This is unprecedented, he said. You have completed 75 kilometers. Do you require rest? Negative, Jake called back without breaking stride. We're good to continue. The humans finished a full 100 kilometers in 3 hours and 47 minutes. They were breathing hard but not exhausted. Several council members had returned to watch the finish, and they stared in silence. Third scenario, Draken said. And there was definitely uncertainty in his voice. Now tactical simulation. The arena transformed into a holographic battlefield. Enemy positions appeared as glowing markers. You command a small force against a superior enemy, Draken explained. Standard council doctrine requires defensive positioning and calling for reinforcements. You have access to standard tactical database. Jake studied the holographic display for 30 seconds. Then he did something that made the archives monitoring system spike. He ignored the tactical database entirely. Lisa, what do we know about the enemy species from council records? Jake asked. Lisa checked her tablet. They're primarily visual hunters, she said. Strong in direct combat, but documented weakness in adapting to changing conditions. Daniel, what's the terrain like around their position? Daniel examined the hologram. Forest to the north, river to the west, rocky ground to the east. Only clear approaches from the south, which is where they expect attack. Jake smiled. Then we don't attack from the south, he said. He began giving orders to the simulated troops. Small units split off, moving through the forest and along the river. They made noise to the south while the main force circled east through the rocky ground. The enemy responded exactly as Jake predicted, reinforcing the southern position. The human commanded forces struck from 3 directions simultaneously. The simulation ended with complete victory in 18 minutes. The observation chamber was absolutely silent. That strategy does not exist in council tactical databases, Draken said slowly. Where did you learn it? I didn't learn it, Jake replied. I just thought about what would work. Humans are adaptable. We improvise based on conditions. Standard doctrine is useful, but sometimes you have to think differently. The archive's voice filled the arena. Analysis complete, it announced. Human problem solving superior to predictive models by factor of 4. Human endurance exceeds all recorded species by minimum of 2 hours. Human tactical thinking demonstrates pattern adaptation, previously classified as impossible. Conclusion: humans employ persistence hunting tactics in non-hunting scenarios. They outlast, outthink, and adapt faster than opponents expect. Draken descended from his platform and approached the 3 humans. His armored form towered over them, but there was something in his posture that suggested respect. I have evaluated combat potential for 300 species. He said, I have never seen capabilities like yours. You do not fight like council species. You fight like, he paused, searching for words, like prey that became predators. Lisa finished quietly, because that's what our ancestors were. They were hunted, so they learned to hunt. They were chased, so they learned to outlast. They were outmatched, so they learned to outthink. Ambassador Aaron joined them on the arena floor. His small herbivore form seemed fragile next to Jake's bulk. May I ask a question? Aaron said. Daniel nodded. You clearly possess predatory instincts and capabilities. Aaron continued, yet you also demonstrate cooperation and empathy. How do humans reconcile these opposing traits? Jake considered the question. They're not opposing, he said finally. Pack hunters succeed because they cooperate. We learned to hunt together, which meant trusting each other. That trust extended beyond hunting. We protect our pack. And over time, our definition of pack grew larger. Now it includes our entire species. Maybe one day it could include other species too. The archive processed this hypothesis. Humans weaponized pack bonding itself. It stated, by extending protective instincts beyond genetic relatives, they created cooperation networks that transcend traditional predator psychology. This explains the paradox. They are apex predators who hunt threats to their pack. But their pack now includes anyone they choose to protect. Morvik had been watching from the highest observation platform. Now he descended. His golden feathers ruffled, and what Daniel had learned was a sign of deep thought. War Master Draken, Morvik said. What is your assessment? Draken looked at the three humans. They are the most capable fighters I have ever evaluated, he said. But capability does not equal intent. The question is not whether humans can be dangerous. The question is whether they choose to be, and that, Morvik said quietly, is what we must decide. Emergency Council session reconvenes in 2 hours. We will vote on humanity's petition to join. As the council members filed out, Daniel felt the weight of what was coming. They had proven they were capable, but capability could mean either protection or threat. Everything depended on which. One, the council believed. Jake put a hand on Daniel's shoulder. We showed them what we can do, he said. Now we wait to see if that was enough. Outside the arena, the station's artificial sky showed gathering clouds. A storm was coming, both literal and metaphorical, and humanity's future in the stars hung in the balance of a vote that could go either way. The council chamber felt colder this time. Every seat was filled. Representatives from 43 species gathered to decide humanity's fate. Daniel sat in the designated speakers area with Lisa and Jake. Professor Alina Voss had joined them, a historian from Earth who specialized in human cultural development. She had arrived on a shuttle just hours earlier, bringing documentation of humanity's story high. Chancellor Morvik called the session to order. We gathered to vote on humanity's petition for council membership, he announced. Arguments will be heard from both sides. Security Chief Krell will present the case for rejection. Krell rose from his seat, his reptilian form commanding attention. I speak not from hatred, but from caution, he began. The archive has confirmed what we feared. Humans are apex predators. Not just predators, but the most efficient predators ever cataloged. They possess 7 distinct markers that should not exist in combination. He activated a holographic display showing human military history. Observe their past. Krell said, wars spanning continents, weapons of mass destruction, conquest and colonization. They have fought each other for thousands of years. Their entire history is written in blood. Images flash past. Ancient battles, world wars, nuclear explosions. They call this history, but I call it evidence. Krell continued. Evidence of a species that solves problems through violence. They evolved by hunting everything on their planet. Now they want to join a peaceful union of civilized worlds. How long before they turn those hunting instincts on us? Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Daniel felt his jaw tighten. But he remained silent. It was not yet time to respond. Consider their own words, Krell said. They admit they are hunters. That they evolved to chase and kill. The archive confirmed they can pursue prey for days without stopping. What prey will they choose when they join the council? He paused, letting the question hang in the air. I propose that humans are too dangerous to integrate. Krell concluded, their nature is fundamentally incompatible with peaceful coexistence. Rejection of their petition is the only logical choice. Krell sat down, and many council members nodded in agreement. Morvik turned to the humans. Captain Wright, you may present your defense. Daniel stood, his heart pounding. Everything Security Chief Krell said is true. He began. Several council members looked surprised. We are predators. We did evolve by hunting. Daniel continued. Our history includes terrible wars and violence. We're not going to stand here and pretend otherwise. He gestured to Alina, who activated her own display. But history is not destiny, Daniel said. Professor Vuss will explain. Alina stood, her gray hair pulled back in a practical. Bunchy had spent 50 years studying human cultural evolution. Human violence has decreased dramatically over time, she said. Her display showed graphs and statistics. 5,000 years ago, the murder rate on Earth was approximately 50 per 100,000 people annually. Today, it is less than 6 per 100,000. War deaths as a percentage of population have declined by 90%. We are becoming more peaceful with each generation. New images appeared. Hospitals, schools, aid organizations. Humans created systems to resolve conflicts without violence. Alina continued. International law, diplomacy, humanitarian aid. We built organizations dedicated to peace. We made a choice to be better than our instincts. Ambassador Aaron spoke up. If I may interject, he said gently, the fact that humans must actively choose peace suggests their natural state is violence. This supports Chief Krell's concern. Lisa stood beside Daniel with respect. Ambassador, that's backwards, she said. Every intelligent species must choose how to behave. The difference is that humans are aware of our predatory nature. We recognize it, acknowledge it, and consciously decide to channel it differently. The archive's voice filled the chamber. Observation. Humans are the only apex predator species that domesticated other apex predators. It announced. A holographic image appeared, showing a human child playing with a dog. Canis lupus familiaris. Descended from wolves, the archive explained. An apex predator species that humans transformed into companions. This required trust, patience, and cooperation over thousands of generations. Analysis suggests humans did not conquer predatory nature, but redirected it. Jake stood, drawing attention. May I share something? He asked. Ed Morvik nodded. I was a soldier, Jake said. I fought in conflicts, commanded troops, made decisions about life and death. I know what humans are capable of when we choose violence. His voice was steady. Matter of fact, but I also know what we're capable of when we choose differently. He continued. I've seen soldiers share their rations with starving civilians. I've seen warriors lay down weapons to rebuild schools. I've seen the strongest fighters become the gentlest teachers. Humans understand violence, yes, but that understanding makes us appreciate peace even more. Alina activated another display. Human children show nurturing behavior toward wounded animals, she said, from early ages. Before cultural conditioning, children demonstrate empathy. They feel distress when others are hurt. They want to help, to heal, to protect. The display showed images of children caring for injured birds, feeding stray animals, comforting other children who were crying. This is not learned behavior, Alina explained. This is instinct. Just as much as hunting is instinct, humans have both predatory and protective drives. Our civilization is built on choosing protection over predation. Theron, the science director, stood. The archive indicated that pack bonding is a predatory trait. He said, "Could this empathy simply be pack behavior extended? Does that make it less valid?" Lisa asked. "Wolves protect their pack. Humans extended that protection to other species. We protect even those who cannot benefit us. We care for the elderly, the sick, the vulnerable. Is that predatory?" Krell stood again. "Noble words," he said coldly. "But words are cheap. Show me actions that prove humans can be trusted." Daniel reached for a data chip Alina had given him. "Archive. Please display the following records," he said. New images filled the holographic space. March 2134. Human medical team deployed to plague zone on Kepler 442b. The archive reported. All team members knew the mission was high risk. 3 did not survive. They went anyway, saving 14,000 colonists. The image showed medics in protective suits working in quarantine zones. August 2141. Human rescue ship responded to distress call from unknown vessel. The archive continued. Rescuers exposed themselves to radiation to save survivors. 7 died from exposure. They extracted 42 survivors from 6 different species. More images. Rescue workers carrying alien beings from damaged ships. January 2145. Human engineer sacrificed life to seal reactor breach on Station Delta 9. The archive stated engineer stayed behind despite evacuation. Order saved 800 station inhabitants. Final message. Tell my family I did something good. The chamber fell silent. These are not isolated incidents, Daniel said quietly. This is who we are. Yes, we can fight. Yes, we can hunt. Yes, we evolved as predators, but we choose to use that strength to protect instead of conquer. We chase not to kill but to rescue. We persist not to dominate but to help. Our predatory instincts became protective instincts. Alina added one final image. This is the memorial wall at Earth's Council Embassy, she said. The hologram showed a wall covered in names, every human who died helping other species since first contact, she explained. 247 names so far. Each one chose to risk everything for people they had just met. This is the evidence. Chief Krell requested. Morvik studied the memorial wall. War Master Draken, he said. Your assessment of human capability is clear, but what of their intent? Draken stood slowly. I have fought beside many warriors, he said, and I have learned that the strongest fighters are not the most dangerous. The most dangerous are those who have nothing to lose. Humans have everything to lose. Their families, their dreams, their place in the galaxy. They are strong enough to destroy, but wise enough not to. That combination is rare. The chamber filled with quiet conversation council members debated among themselves. Finally, Morvik called for order. We will vote, he announced. Those in favor of accepting humanity's petition for membership. Hands, claws, tentacles, and various appendages rose throughout the chamber. Those opposed? An equal number of council members indicated rejection. The vote is tied. The vote is tied. Morvik said, 21 for acceptance, 21 for rejection, 1 abstention. Under council law, a tied vote results in rejection unless alarms suddenly blared through the station. Red emergency lights flashed. Morvik touched a communication device. What is happening? He demanded. Fire in the cargo bay. a voice reported. Structural collapse, multiple casualties. People trapped. Emergency teams are assessing the situation. Daniel stood immediately. How many trapped? He asked. There was confusion on the communication channel. At least 30, maybe more, came the reply. But you cannot send rescue teams. The structure is unstable. Regulations prohibit risking responders when collapse is imminent. Jake was already moving toward the exit. Lisa grabbed her medical supplies. Daniel looked at Morvik with respect. Chancellor, we're not waiting for regulations, he said. We're going to help. That is illogical. Krell called out. You will likely die. Those people need help. Daniel replied, that's all the logic we need. The 3 humans ran from the chamber. The cargo bay was a nightmare of twisted metal and flame. Daniel, Lisa, and Jake burst through the emergency doors to find station security standing helplessly outside. The damaged section coordinator Vesh was there, her antennae drooping in distress. You cannot go in, she said desperately. The regulations are clear. No rescue attempt when structural integrity is below 30%. The entire section could collapse at any moment. Jake assessed the situation where the soldier's eye fire blazed in the far corner. Where fuel containers had ignited, smoke billowed through. The space metal beams had fallen, creating a maze of obstacles. How many trapped? Jake asked. 17 confirmed. Vesh replied. Maybe more. Their life support will fail in minutes. Daniel didn't hesitate. Lisa, medical triage, he said. Jake, structural assessment. I'll coordinate rescue. You'll die. A security officer said. Jake looked at him. Maybe, he said, but they'll definitely die if we do nothing. The 3 humans entered the burning cargo bay. Smoke immediately stung Daniel's eyes, but he pushed forward. Sound off if you can hear me, he shouted. Weak cries came from multiple directions. Jake moved toward the worst structural damage, examining fallen beams. Main support here is critical, he called. If this goes, the whole section collapses. How long do we have? Daniel asked. 10 minutes, maybe 15. Then we work fast. Lisa found the first group of trapped beings. 3 small creatures huddled under a cargo container. I've got 3 here, she reported. Minor injuries, can walk. She guided them toward the exit, speaking calmly despite the danger. Daniel found a fallen beam pinning a large insectoid being. The creature was Vesh's species. Help me lift this, Daniel called to Jake. Together they heaved the beam up. The trapped being scrambled free, clicking thanks in its native language. Go, Daniel ordered. Emergency exit. That way. Jake found a group of 5 trapped behind collapsed shelving. I need leverage, he said. Daniel joined him, and they used a metal pipe to pry the shelving apart. The trapped beings squeezed through the gap outside the cargo bay. The council members had gathered. They watched through monitors as the humans worked. They entered without protective equipment. Theron observed, without proper training for this facility, without authorization. Krell added, but his voice lacked its usual harsh edge inside the bay. Lisa found a young creature trapped in a narrow gap. It was small, with large eyes that blinked in fear. It's okay, Lisa said softly. I've got you. She squeezed into the gap, ignoring the jagged metal that tore at her uniform. The young creature whimpered. What's your name? Lisa asked, keeping her voice gentle. The translator crackled. Pip, came the reply. Well, Pip, we're going to get you out of here, Lisa said. She worked carefully, clearing debris piece by piece. Jake appeared beside her. That beam is starting to shift, he said quietly. We need to move faster. I know, Lisa replied, but if I rush, I'll hurt Pip. She continued working, methodical despite the danger. Daniel was helping 2 more beings toward the exit when he heard a grinding sound. Metal shrieked as the main support beam shifted. Jake, he shouted. I see it, Jake called back. He ran toward the failing beam. What are you doing? Lisa yelled. If this goes, Everyone still inside dies, Jake said. He positioned himself under the beam, bracing it with his shoulders. Get everyone out now. Daniel felt time slow down. Jake was holding up tons of metal through sheer strength and determination. It was impossible. It was also happening. Lisa, move! Daniel ordered. Lisa pulled Pip free and ran toward the exit. Daniel searched frantically for anyone else. Is that everyone? He shouted. Yes. Vesh called from outside. All 17 accounted for. Daniel ran toward Jake. Let's go. You first, Jake said through gritted teeth. The moment I move, this whole thing comes down. Then we move together, Daniel said. He positioned himself beside Jake, taking some of the weight. On 3, he said. 1, 2, 3. They both shoved upward with everything they had. Then ran. The beam fell behind them with a deafening crash. The entire section collapsed in a cascade of metal and fire. Daniel and Jake dove through the emergency door as Vesh sealed it behind them. The door slammed shut just as flames reached it. For a moment, everyone stood in silence. Then Pip broke free from the medic, examining her, and ran too. Lisa, the small creature, wrapped her arms around Lisa's leg. You saved me, Pip said. Lisa knelt down, her uniform torn and her face smudged with soot. Of course I did, she said gently. That's what we do. Morvik pushed through the crowd. His golden feathers were disheveled. Pip, he said, his voice cracked. Uncle. Pip called. She was Morvik's nephew. The Chancellor gathered Pip in his arms, his wings wrapping protectively around the small form. He looked at Lisa with eyes that held something Daniel had not seen before. Respect. Fear had been replaced by understanding. You risked your life for my family, Morvik said quietly. Lisa stood, swaying slightly from exhaustion. We risked our lives for people who needed help, she corrected. That's all. The archive's voice filled the corridor. Analysis complete, it announced. Observe human behavior during crisis. 0 hesitation before entering danger zone. 0 concern for personal safety. 0 consideration of regulations preventing action. Humans ran toward danger for people they met 3 days ago. New holographic displays appeared, showing the rescue moment by moment. Human Jake held structural support with physical strength while others evacuated. The archive stated, this action had 97% probability of death. He did it anyway. Human Lisa entered confined space to rescue single child. She took 4 minutes to extract the child safely. She could have extracted herself in 30 seconds. She prioritized the child's safety over her own. Human Daniel coordinated rescue while exposed to toxic smoke haze. Lung capacity is now at 71% due to smoke inhalation. He continued working despite impairment. The archive paused. Conclusion. Humans are apex predators who evolved pack bonding so strong they extended it to other species. They do not hunt council members. They protect them. Recommendation. Accept with full membership status. Krell stepped forward. His reptilian face was unreadable, but his body language had changed. I was wrong, he said simply. I saw the predator and missed the protector. Any species can fight when threatened. Only the truly strong fight for others. He turned to the humans. I oppose your membership because I feared what you could do. I should have considered what you would choose to do. Ambassador Aaron approached, his small herbivore form no longer seeming fragile next to the humans. You ran toward danger for people you did not know, he said, for a child you had never met. This is not pack behavior. This is something greater. Jake, still breathing hard from the exertion, shook his head. It's not that complicated, he said. Someone needed help. We could help, so we did. The rest is just details. Morvik stood, still holding Pip. The council will reconvene, he announced, but I believe I know how the vote will proceed. 15 minutes later, the council chamber filled again. This time, the atmosphere was different. Daniel noticed aliens who had previously kept their distance now nodding to the humans as they passed. We vote again on humanity's petition, Morvik said. Those in favor of acceptance? Every hand rose, every single one. The vote is unanimous. Morvik announced, humanity is accepted into the Galactic Council with full membership status. Cheers erupted throughout the chamber. Daniel felt Lisa grab his hand. Jake smiled, a rare expression on his normally serious face. However, Morvik continued, the chamber quieted. I must note for the official record what we have learned today. He looked directly at the humans. We feared the predator within you. He said, we saw your strength, your endurance, your capacity for violence. We calculated the threat you posed, but we failed to see the most important truth. He gestured to the holographic display showing the rescue. Humans are apex predators who chose to be protectors. Morvik stated, you have weaponized not just cooperation, but compassion. You are dangerous not because you seek conflict, but because you will not back down when others are threatened. You are trustworthy not despite being predators, but because you are predators who decided what was worth hunting, and what you hunt is injustice, suffering, and cruelty. The Chancellor's wings spread wide. Welcome to the Galactic Council, he said. We are honored to have you among us, and we are grateful you chose to extend your pack to include us. Later, in the medical bay, where they were being treated for smoke inhalation, the three humans sat together. Pip had refused to leave Lisa's side, sitting on the medical bed beside her. So we're in, Jake said. What happens now? Now we prove they were right to trust us, Daniel replied. We show them that humanity's place in the galaxy is as protectors, not conquerors. We keep choosing to be better. Lisa looked down at Pip, who had fallen asleep holding Lisa's hand. We already proved it, she said quietly. We proved it the moment we ran into that fire, because that's who we are. The archive's voice came through the medical bay speakers. Query: do humans understand the significance of today's events? It asked. You are the first apex predator species granted council membership. You have altered the fundamental understanding of predatory psychology. You have demonstrated that evolution is not destiny. How do you explain this? Jake considered the question. We're not that special. He said finally, we're just people who learned that strength without compassion is worthless. That hunting skills become protection skills. That the pack survives when everyone fights for each other. Earth taught us to be strong, but we taught ourselves to be kind.